Hello and welcome to the Voice of the Veteran Show, the #1 show in the nation for firsthand veteran experience at the VA. I'm your host, Gayle Ocheltree, along with the producer, MC Franklin, in the back, taking care of all the technical issues for the show. There he is right there. Thank you for being here. And I just left. I want to give you a little link right here, right now. I'm putting it up in the chat where you can find the Voice of the Veteran Show, because if you don't already know, they are recorded and you can watch them anytime you want to. And I want to say one happy birthday, Army. Hooah! Yeah. So that's tomorrow is the actual birthday date, but we're just telling everybody today, happy birthday, Army. And like one of my guests told me earlier, every day is Army Day. So there we go. All right. I have a little announcement here. There is a class that people might be interested in. Since we're here in Los Angeles, a lot of veterans get out of the military and they're interested in workshops or information about how to get started in the film industry. And there is a class available called Vets and Entertainment Workshop. It is going to be on Tuesday, 6 July from 900 to 10:30. And anyone can sign up with the U.S. vets. And if you'd like to attend that Zoom chat and information, you can see Jennifer Delat at usvets.org, and she will get you all signed up and you can attend that class. Now, that is answering questions in the class. Ray Upton and I will be answering questions about unions and various jobs set and how to get ready for those jobs. Now, Ray is a very close friend of mine, and we are currently in development on a film with Blumberg Productions. And I don't know if you know Blumberg Productions, but Jason Blum worked with the Weinstein brothers and Miramax for many years before starting his own film company. And that's who we'll be talking to. And my friend Ray was a production stage manager for the Beach Boys for 15 years and other rock and roll bands like Loggins and Messiah and Janis Joplin and Tiffany. So I'm telling you, he is an expert in all aspects of stage and television production. Now, I myself graduated from the American Film Institute as a producer, UCLA as a screenwriter and TV pilot writer, and I'm a member of the Directors Guild, so as a unit production manager. So we are looking forward to meeting veterans that would like to be in the film industry and learn about that. So sign up with US Vets if you're interested in that. Now, I want to do a little introduction here before I bring on my guest. And, you know, in my opinion, military people are changed forever as a result of their military experience. Personally, I never feel like a civilian. I just always feel like a veteran. Like I always will be a veteran. That's just the way it is. And the Voice of the Veteran Show was created to help veterans with firsthand veteran experience at the VA to find resources through various service organizations and to give you that post-military purpose, you know, in your life, to find that for yourself. But this is where you can get some of that information. Now, our guest today believes in sharing resources and information with veterans, and we were taught, to always help each other out, because your success does not distract from my success. We want to help each other out as veterans, and that's what we want to do. Now, veterans respond to mission, and so that's what we're always, people seem to be looking for, is that some kind of mission, something where we can make a difference and help out. It's healing for us to be involved and volunteer and do things for other veterans. So it's that get that job done kind of attitude. Now, my guest takes his veteran status seriously. Let's bring on retired Lieutenant Colonel Ben Dennis, please. And Ben, thank you so much for spending time today to chat with us about your VA and military life experience. Let's go through and look at a few pictures that you sent us, because they're pretty cool. Let me see. We have you as you look like a child when you first signed up for the military. How old were you, Ben?
Oh gosh, it seems like just yesterday, and it's probably I was a young pup.
Yeah.
So did the enlistment, as you know, and so that picture was probably either at Benning or Bragg, but I had sent you, and
now,
after
were
that,
you infantry first? Is that an infantry picture? You were what? Were you 11 Bravo or something, or what? What the heck was that?
Actually, a Cav Scout guy, starting out. So, and then later on, as we talked, there's out in the field at Fort Bragg, about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. You're doing noise and light discipline and all that stuff, and there's a lot of ticks and stuff it's hot, sweaty, and out in the distance, I saw a Black Hawk land, and the crew chief walks out, making a lot of noise, and our squad leader's yelling at us, "Hey, be quiet, shut up," and all the colorful vocabulary. And I was like, you know what? They're smoking and joking, all that stuff. That's what I want to do. So there's different commissioning sources like ROTC, OCS, and Green to Gold program. Green to Gold program is basically you go to college, like for your junior or senior year, and you get your commission. And like the direct commission, you have to receive your bachelor's degree by the time you make your captain bar. So anyways, I was fortunate to be assessed in the Army Aviation branch later, and flew fat, dumb, and happy a little bit. And of course, when you move along in the rank, you don't fly anymore unless you're a warrant officer in the Army. So, and then I was able to do a lot of great stuff within the logistics community and also the adjutant general community, which is HR, which tied me in with working with JAG and IG. I didn't have those branches or MLS, but I was able to, when you have, as you're promoted, you have added responsibilities and, juggle the glass balls. As General Abazad once said to my boss to tell me, "Hey, Ben already lit the fire. Don't let it boil over," because at one time I was trying to get AAFES kicked out of the Middle East because of, I believe in all the dividends should, a significant portion of the AAFES dividends should go back to the troops. And they were, but, and that's another story.
Well, that is another point. Hey, I wanted to ask you about your time at Fort Rucker then. So you went through flight training. What did you go through that 32-week school?
No,
it's wing?
52 weeks.
52 weeks total.
Yeah, 52 weeks. So in the first end is basically the ground school portion, the aeromedical stuff, and then you end up learning how to fly, and they break it all down, and you could teach anybody fly, believe me. I mean, and then the last couple of weeks is basically you come together and you do a mission and all that stuff, and you graduate, and you could go to an advanced airframe. So I was on the 58, the Kiowa track, the Scout track and all that stuff, and then you go attack track, which is the Apache. And at the time, the Army was trying to get off the ground the Comanche, and it was like this Blue Thunder looking. You remember Blue Thunder, that movie?
Oh yeah.
So that aircraft looked like it never got off the ground. So I was one of the test guys. They would take all the lieutenants and all that stuff, and they would have us as guinea pigs in this huge simulator to work out the controls, the cyclic, the collective, and all that stuff. But maybe it was cost overrun where the Department of Defense says, "Hey, Army shut it down," or what have you. So it never came off the ground.
Well,
anyways,
so how old do you have to be to get put in one of these big, expensive, taxpayer-funded? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
put children in there. I mean, what's the rate? Was it like 8?
Well, you know what? That's a very good question. So, our armed forces, you can be assessed into flight school. You go from high school to flight school, basically. Whoa. So you go to high school, and let's say and you could go to basic training and apply for warrant officer school. And immediately after, and go straight in, be assessed, and then you just have to go through a walk school or warrant officer candidate school at Fort Rucker, and then flight school, which is IERW, initial entry to the rotary wing school. Graduate, and they're off flying fat, dumb, and happy at whatever you're doing, lift, which is the Chinook or the Black Hawk, and then there's VIP route, which is the at the time, they do have some Hueys still, and you have Cessnas, Learjets, and people don't think about Army has planes. Yes, they do. They have.
Oh my gosh, do they ever?
Yeah, and then also Golden Knights. We have Army pilots flying for the Golden Knights that jump at Bragg and Fort Bragg and all over the place.
Last week we had a woman on, Captain Olivia, and she flew Chinooks, and those are the heavy lift things, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's correct. Dual rotor systems and Big Bird. So I've air assaulted out of those. I've parachuted in Korea with SOC Corps, Special Operations Command Korea, and the SFBK, Special Forces Detachment Korea, many years ago. And one of the sergeant majors, good friend of mine, Mitch Conway. He was having fun with me and doing PLFs off his desk, and as the group commander walked by, what's going on in your office, Sergeant Major? And Sergeant Major, hey, don't worry about this,
Tell us what PLF is. Tell the audience. I know what it is.
Okay, so basically, as you exit the aircraft,
what it means: parachute landing fall, right?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, we call them the PFL. Pretty landing.
That's correct. Ball of feet. Your calf muscle, buttocks. There's a certain way that you land. If you land with both legs straight, stiff-legged, you're going to break them. It's just not like the average skydiver where it's just like you're hopping off of a brick, like a short brick wall, and it's a run-on landing. So with a paratrooper, as you know, Gayle, it's feet and knees together, and you want to do that roll in the direction to break that fall.
That's right. Hey, tell me a little bit about you playing hockey for the kids.
Hey, okay, so
your hot stuff. Tell me about that.
So there I was. There I am, and that competition is LA Kings sled hockey team, which is sponsored by the LA Kings pro team, NHL, and we're playing against the Colorado Avs, and that's Jerry Duvall, phenomenal player. He's a double amp. So the bulk of the players are amputees or some sort of injury, I should say, and they are heavy supporters of veterans. But I'm one of two veterans on the team for the LA Kings hockey team. So we travel a lot, and let me start all over because you jumped to that picture, so I just want to explain it. So what had happened was the VA. I'm a traumatic brain injury patient. So my therapist said, hey, look, we have this function that the LA Kings would like to introduce adaptive hockey to people. So I went to the Toyota Sports Center, met the players, and watched these from young kids to grandmothers push themselves on a sled. And it was very motivational. I mean, I was like, wow. And I was in the hospital for 3.5 years in the Warrior Transition Unit for combat-related injuries after my last deployment. So I had a lot of time and many surgeries, and then I transitioned to the Greater Los Angeles VA, which my healthcare has been very good. And so my polytrauma therapist, God bless her, she had introduced me to a lot of adaptive programs like the equine therapy, which is really good with working the horses to talk about your combat PTSD. And also she was like, hey, Ben, I used to be in great shape and all that stuff. I saw all your pictures. Hey, consider like some sort of sports. I said, well, I don't know that much about hockey. So I went out there, and evidently I was pushing myself along really well. And the coach was like, and I found out one of the coaches was a former Marine. Well, I shouldn't say former Marine, a Marine veteran. And he was like, hey, come on out. I did it. So found out the Kings, they pay for your uniforms, which is your white and blacks, which away and home uniforms, and you can receive grants for your gear also through the VA. It's upon application. And also, if you're a veteran, Army Air Force goes through the Independence Fund. You can receive grants for any type of sports goods, sporting equipment, and adaptive gear. And if you're a Marine, they have the Semper Fi Fund. So it's basically call them, send them your DD-214, any medical supporting documents, and say, this is what I want to do, whether it be I want to do adaptive cycling, and they'll mail you like a $6,000 adaptive bike. And And okay, that's another part. But anyways, with the LA Kings, yeah, that's adaptive skiing.
So who, if a veteran wants it, let me ask you a direct question here. I want to see that too. But
Okay,
just hang on one second.
Yeah, I'm the primary goalie for the Los Angeles Kings sled hockey team, and I'm trying to focus. So this is my helmet, and a great artist, Mike Fisher, who's in the Valley. He did this with my name. There's M16 right here. And I said, hey, I want a bunch of parachutes. Let me see if I could get it like that. Okay, look, the screen is, and then, of course, Gayle, we all live in Hollywood area. So you got the Hollywood sign, the parachutes, and then, let me see, there you go. And you got the soldier and the silhouette army. And on the back, of course, the flag and Operation Iraqi Freedom, combat veteran. But I was in also Enduring Freedom, Gulf War vet, and Operation New Dawn, but neither here nor there.
Ben, tell me something. If you walk into the hospital, who do you go talk to and say, I want to get involved with adaptive sports? What's the contact person? Let me do that.
It is, I'll say this, it's a challenge to navigate if just walking in there, because some folks will look around. So my thing is like, if you have access to the internet, smartphone, computer, go on there, Google's your friend, and type in VA or Veterans Affairs adaptive sports, okay? Or you could do www.va.gov/adaptive sports.
Okay.
And it would come out with all the national veterans sports programs and special events. And these occur every year. So they have from the National Veterans Wheelchair Games. So some of you veterans out there are wheelchair bound or what have you, or maybe using an ambulatory with a cane or with a walker. You can apply for these and they'll fly you out. And whether it be, I think it's in the Midwest when they compete, there's the National Veterans Golden Age Games, and that applies to veterans that are 55 years and older. So you go out and you compete. It's more like the senior games, and you can do it every year until you die, okay? And there's a National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic, which is in Aspen, Colorado, and I was fortunate to participate in that. You fly in, and the DAV is a co-sponsor of it, and they have a bunch of entertainers that go out there and they pump you up. You do adaptive skiing, snowboarding, fishing. There's the National Veterans Creative Arts Competition. It's basically music, dance, drama, poetry, writing contests. Anything you could do with creative arts. They'll fly you out to, sometimes it's in Mississippi. It depends on what state. And you compete. And the American Legion is one of the co-sponsors for that. There's the National Disabled Veterans Tea Clinic, which is basically training, exposure, experience, but it's primarily a week long of fun golfing in the Mid-East to East Coast with the pros. So I'm pretty sure you walk away with a pro bag. Like a lot of these events that the VA hosts, these national events, you walk away with like microwaves and ninjas and all that stuff. So take an empty suitcase. There's a big one is the National Veterans Summer Sports Clinic, which is in sunny San Diego. You stay on the beach and you get to train at the Olympic Training Village, because there's like a couple of Olympic training centers nationwide, one in Colorado, one in San Diego, and you do a lot of great things. And I tell you what, to all walks of life. So if you serve, you're dialed into the VA. I highly recommend. Don't sit there at home moping and all that stuff. Lean forward like you were in the military. This will help you on the road to recovery. And yes, if you have an approved caregiver, they can also go with you. Okay.
Good point.
So approved caregivers can go with you, and there's funding sources, and also there's smart folks out there that will assist you if you need to do GoFundMe, or you can also call out one of those societies, whether it be like the Independence Fund I mentioned earlier, or the Semper Fi Fund, and there's to offset costs. And also, if you call the airlines, they will give discounts. And when you're checking in all your gear that you want, and like I play for the LA Kings sled hockey, and they always want to charge you. I'm like, hey, I'm a disabled veteran. I play a Paralympic sport, which is sled hockey, and they're like, oh, okay. And like Southwest Airlines, I'm not trying to advertise them, but they are really good. as far as like, hey,
Good to
no
know.
problem, no questions asked. If you say it's medical device, so the key thing, it's a medical device, which it is. All your adaptive sports equipment is. So that's the way around that. But there's also monthly assistance allowance for monthly payment through the VA. So if you are competitive and you end up playing for the national team or Paralympics, the VA will send you a stipend. Okay, so there's approval process, and there's also adaptive sports grant programs. So if you're thinking about going into business, let's say you want to you love working with horses and you want to outsource and do something for the veterans, or whether archery or something, you can apply through these VA grant programs annually, and maybe the VA will approve you and send you $50,000, and you can start your small business, nonprofit business, or what have you. So there's a lot of opportunity. But like Gayle, you had said earlier, if I walk to the VA, how can I find out? Well, I would say your social workers should know, and anybody within the
Well, Ben, how do you find a social worker, for crying out loud? Tell me they're in every single clinic, right? In your primary clinic?
Well, they should be. They should be. Majority of the clinics do have social workers and all, but you can find them in the behavioral health, mental health facilities, and some may know the program. But if your polytrauma departments, which is the multiple injury departments, hopefully they would know.
You mean like Jody?
Jody kind of knows. She's great, by the way.
Yeah,
Jody,
in occupational therapy. There's social workers everywhere at the VA.
Yeah,
all over
Jody. Jody knows about the program because she works heavily with the traumatic injury, brain injury patients, and so she's one that has to approve on if you have severe injuries and all, because you have to get medical approval. They want you to have a heart attack or an incident out there in episodes if you're out in these competitive games. So, like I said, Jody's one of the approving authorities at the local level. So you have to get a signature from your primary doctor, maybe EKG if you're 50 or older, and then you send it off, and it's just a waiting game. And the VA rarely turns away veterans. When I say if they do, is because if you're really disruptive and combative, this and that, and you need to ensure that you have the proper assistance to go there. When I say proper assistance, it's like if I'm a double amp and cognitive issues, I can't go there by myself because I would need a caregiver and all. Because how can I get on the plane and all? Hotel, and it can be trialing for the one or two staffers that are managing a group of folks that are embedded with hundreds of people that are competing in these games. So, like I said, and thank you, Gayle, for posting the link in your the chat right there. And I hope everyone takes advantage of it. And there's points and contacts, and there's a PDF file with an email and some links. So I highly encourage people. And if you don't do one, let's say this year, plan on next year. But please take advantage of that.
There it is. MC has it on the screen right there. Also, www.va.gov/adaptive sports. Hey, I want to ask another thing too. Now, it's great going out for sports and stuff, but what about people who want to get into advocacy for the VA? There are several different groups like VPAC that you and I, that's how we met, and that's the Veteran Patient Advisory Council, Veteran Patient Advisory Council. Talk a little bit about that. What's on the agenda for the next meeting? And is there some kind of a link or way for people to get involved with that? Go for it.
You know what? And I'm glad that you brought that up. So as, I did over 2 decades in the military, was in 5.5 years deployed to the Middle East, and then cumulative now, and then 3.5 years stuck in the hospital. I ballooned up because I was doped up on meds. Okay. And a lot of veterans out there, they're on a lot of heavy stuff. So you got to, try to titrate off of it properly through your doctors, and found the adapters, dialed in with adaptive programs. Now, while I was going through one of these programs, and and Gayle knows me that I'm pretty outspoken and all, and a VA director had approached me and said, "Hey, would you ever consider joining a Veterans Patient Advisory Council?" And I said, "What is that?" "Well, it's help advocate for veterans." And you help veterans with their earned benefits and all. And I said, let me look into that. I went to a couple meetings. I was quite impressed. And of course, we end up changing the name of VPAC, which is Veterans Patient Advocacy Council. So advisory, because we were advising the leadership and all that stuff like, hey, this is what's going on. But advocacy fell in line because with our mission, which is to serve and honor all VA Greater Los Angeles healthcare system users. Well, not only the GLA VA, but all veterans by connecting veterans and their families with their earned benefits through education, advocacy, and direct services. So, we're not necessarily VSOs, but we can help guide you to the VSOs. Or if there's issues that veterans bring up, like, hey, the phone systems don't work at the VA, nobody's answering phones. So we have some heavy hitters. This one gentleman, Bob Rubin, I tell you what, he's like a gold mine. And he advocated, did a lot of research, and helped reduce the number of drop calls, as well as more MSAs are picking up the phone and returning the calls to veterans. I mean, of course, it's cyclical, and he's like a missile locked on to follow up where, hey, let's get back on track with, and the VA leadership's been great supporting us. So we do have a lot of things that we do. Ambassador program, connecting with veterans and linking them up with the right department. And if they didn't know where to go, we would guide them. And also, we were starting something called My Life, My Stories subcommittee. It's basically showcase veterans, like Gayle, like you were trying to talk about me as far, okay, Ben, you were in the military, and what's transpired post-military, and I'm talking, all the great things. So with My Life, My Story, we're trying to showcase veterans as far as these success stories, because everyone's not alone. No. There's somebody out there that you can depend on and will reach out, and there's a common ground. Whether if you're the same service from the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Army, Air Force, you know what? We're all veterans, and you may learn something from another veteran. So, like Gayle was alluding to, Gayle and I, we met through the Veteran Patient at the time Advisory Council, and we had a common bond because we're in the Army, we were former paratroopers and all that stuff. Yeah, airborne, and we have a infectious attitude to help veterans. So that gets to my next point, is that I want to give a shout out to MC Franklin for showcasing veteran topics. That's right. Him as a producer, and I got to give you kudos for that, MC Franklin.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you for doing this, and of course, Gayle. Gayle's been with the VPAC, the Veteran Patient Advisory Advocacy Council, for many years, and it used to be a paper newsletter that went out like monthly or quarterly, and if they could get enough printed, and how many people, and you viewers out there, how many people really actually read through something, And a lot of us, we rather watch or listen and everything as we're driving or, playing with our therapy dog or whatever. But I just want to say thank you. But it gets to what we have within the VPAC. We have a lot of subcommittees, like communications committee, because we're trying to get a Wi-Fi at the Greater Los Angeles VA. That includes the downtown and the outlying clinics. But a lot of them are legacy buildings, old buildings. So the strategic plan, and it's no secret, the Greater Los Angeles VA is most of the buildings coming down, and they're going to be building new buildings, and that's going to be just like the Vegas VA, state of the art, Wi-Fi everywhere. So kudos to the VA leadership on the ground, because they do listen to everyone's issues, and they take it, and of course they have to go through their higher echelon for formal approval. We have a patient satisfaction committee that we're involved with the healthcare professionals at the Greater Los Angeles VA, patient-centered care committee, which is a big one. And we do have a person that hosts this channel that's on the Women's Health Committee. And I want to appreciate Gayle for many years advocating for women's veterans over the years. You've been like that pit bull locking on that tail bumper.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And I see you locked right onto there, that bumper, because you're frozen right now. Can you believe it? Right when you latched onto that bumper, you just froze right up. I wonder if it's coming back in a second here or not. Because if not, I'll say goodbye and move on. What do you think, MC? Think I ought to do that? I think maybe I should.
Hello? Okay.
Well, there he is back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I apologize to the viewers and MC Franklin and you, Gayle, as far as sort of the signal. It was like low signal.
You did it on purpose. Come on.
Hey,
you know what?
AT&T, help me out.
I wanted to say too. You know, when you talking Bob Rubin, he's fantastic. But you know, he had a book that was like 6 inches deep, and he went around to like Loma Linda and saw what their phone system was doing. And he had us go around and actually call these numbers all through the VA hospital. I did 9 different clinics calling these different things. And what we want to do is I want to say, you know, go ahead and finish up because I got to get another guest on here.
Okay, I just want to say that I heard you were being nominated for the national appointment on the Committee for Women's Veterans in Washington. Will you be traveling back there for any meetings or anything, Gayle? Because you know, we're always rooting for you because you are definitely a linchpin in the system, making it happen for, you know, not only for female veterans, for all genders. I mean, and you know, God, even if you're not religious or spiritual, God bless you for what you're doing. You know, and you've changed over the years. Meaning, I mean, you've always had that heart and all that stuff, but you've just taken it up a notch.
I love doing this podcast because this helps us all advocate for the things, you know, that, you know, it's a platform for VPAC or whoever to come on and talk about what we're advocating for. I've been nominated. I haven't been appointed yet. And I'd be going back there twice a year, flying back to DC to be on that committee. So we'll see. I'll let you know. But I'm looking forward to it. And I'm really, I'm excited about it. It's a great honor for me to be, you know, on the CVEB chair for women's health and the Chief of Staff Committee for Women's Health, and now finally do a national appointment. It's a big deal. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I just want to say, lastly, for your viewers, is if they want to be involved advocating, you know, please join the VPAC, the Veteran Patient Advocacy Council. Send an email to Gayle or MC Franklin, and we meet every Thursday of the month on the third Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Right now at Zoom. Pretty soon we'll be transitioned to in-person, maybe a split hybrid. But you're more than welcome.
All right. I love it. And you're such a great leader with it. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, you get a whole packet of notes and things to advocate for. You have no doubts how to take charge and advocate for some kind of veterans cause when you're in the room with Lieutenant Colonel Ben Dennis. He will make sure that you have a mission and something to advocate for. Ben, thank you so much for coming here today and spending your time chatting it up about military and VA experience. I just think it's important for people to understand what's available and to point out the positive things that the VA does, because we all bitch about the VA, but you know, they do a lot of good things. Let's start focusing on that and moving forward and through the healing process and not being such, you know, because we can be real characters, I know.
You win a lot more with honey than vinegar, you know, when you're talking to VA staff, you know that. And that's what you viewers out there, Gayle said a very good thing as far as when you're advocating, hey, do it positively, and those healthcare professionals and staff will definitely, I mean, they're already helping you. They'll bend over backwards. They always go the extra mile. So please, you know, when you're talking to them, don't go in there with your poopy face or.
Yeah, and try to understand the process, for crying out loud. You know what? If the more involved you get in the process and learning what it takes to get a claim done over in the Wilshire building and all what that process is, the more likely you're going to have a positive result and meet your expectations. So, when you visit a VSO, think about, look up what that process is step by step. You need your DD 214. You need, you're going to sign a power of attorney with them. You're going to, put an intent to file in. I mean, there are stages and steps. So I'm going to move on here. I haven't, because this is just a little vaccine update from Supervisor Hilda Solis. She's at the 1st District. And, we've been long anticipating the reopening of the state of California. And now on the 15th of June, the reopening is going to be, a milestone in this process of, fighting the pandemic. And I just wanted to leave a link there in the chat so that if anybody hasn't been vaccinated, that they can get that vaccine and we can continue to battle this pandemic together. And that's a county number. That's not a VA number. So that's for anybody that's watching, civilian or military alike. And, to find a participating site near you, that's the number. So I just wanted to leave that, and hopefully we won't have to talk about this vaccination stuff, in the next 6 months from now. Hopefully we'll have this remedy. Now I want to talk a little bit about my next guest. My next guest has visited us before, and I love her to death, Dr. Kathy Cash. Let's bring her on. I just appreciate you so much, and you coming on today and helping us out to talk about veterans issues and anything that you want to bring up too, that you want to advocate for. I want to hear about, because you are a rock star at the VA and you work at the downtown VA, right?
Yes. Los Angeles Ambulatory Care Center.
Well, you definitely have a get it done attitude for veterans. So I'm loving you. I tell you, I can't get enough of you.
We make it happen. And I love the previous guest. He shared some things that many of the veterans are dealing with right now that gives them an outlet. We've been locked up for a year and a half.
Yes.
And if you've been down to the downtown clinic pre-COVID, it was a bustling area. Veterans hanging around and going to the canteen and sitting on the patio. There was a veteran who would bring his boom box and they would play music every day from about 10:30 to a little after lunchtime. But then when COVID stopped, when COVID happened, all of this stopped. All of this stopped. And it became a ghost town. So now that the city is opening up again, we're looking at how are our veterans dealing with that? And as the staff, how are we going to be able to support the veterans in dealing with it? Because it is scary. You mentioned the vaccines, and some have gotten vaccines, some haven't. The masks are coming off. Do I wear a mask? Do I don't wear a mask? Do I wear your adaptive mask?
Yeah, my adaptive mask right here. This is the adaptive mask so that you can wear the mask and you can still be heard by others. I know it's ridiculous, but why can't we just laugh about this stupid stuff? You know what I mean? I'm serious.
Yes. And some of our veterans are not sure how to deal with this. And so one of the things that as peer specialists, as we're doing, is I'm a peer specialist again at the downtown clinic, and I work in the HUD-VASH program. So I'm dealing with veterans who are formerly homeless and who are now housed. And so they've become housed and they've been on lockdown. So how do we get them reacclimated to how life will be now? I've spoken to veterans who I'm still not going outside. They've told me that. Yeah. I've had veterans who have literally been inside of their unit since the pandemic. They may have gone out less than 5 times over the last 18 months because of the lockdown.
Now, Kathy, you know what? I just got a talking to from my therapist last Friday, because she said, now, seriously, how are you not going out and riding your bike or getting exercise because, you don't want to be around people and all that stuff? And I said, well, yeah, because I feel anxiety over it. I'm serious. I don't trust them. And then I think to myself, hey, I don't want any of their other damn germs either. You know, I don't want all the other things. So I'm not, whether we wear masks or not, I'm going to be doing that because I don't want to get the flu next October. I don't want to get a cold. And quite frankly, Kathy, I'm so much better when I'm out gardening. I'm not breathing in all the dust and stuff. So why is it I wasn't wearing a mask all along is beyond me. But sorry to interrupt you. Go for it.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
Hey, you know,
because those same feelings, you're not the only one. Several of the veterans that I'm serving have those same kind of feelings.
Yeah.
Am I going outside? What happens when somebody coughs next to me? What if somebody gets into my space? I already had issues with them being in my personal space. And so now, because everything is opened up, it's sort of like, do we still do the 6 feet? Or no, you need to give me 10 feet, or what are we doing now? So all of this confusion is adding to that anxiety. Yeah. So what we're looking at as peers is how to support the veterans that we're supporting. How do we support them in this? And I love what your previous guest, when he talked about the adaptive sports, that's something to do, because this, once again, is, if you're going out with the VA, you have that confidence that you will be okay, because it's the VA. The VA is going to take care of me because I've been getting my services. I'm a veteran, so they're going to take care of me. So that brings another level of comfort when a veteran knows that, okay, I'm participating in a VA program. And everything is taken care of. So there'll be people there to help me with my anxiety. If I need to take my caregiver, I can take my caregiver, because the VA is looking at me as a veteran and looking to meet my needs. Yes. So I love that information. And as a peer, I add that to my arsenal, because I have veterans who want to do things. Before, they were active. They were riding bikes. They were going to play basketball. But now, are they going to do it? Some are, and some aren't. Yeah. So it's
I just started in again. I just started in again because, you know, my therapist talked me into it. She says, seriously, give yourself a gift. Don't feel like, I always thought I had to go out and exercise for a certain amount of time to get the aerobic thing going or whatever else, you know, and that's just not true. I just need to go out and go bike riding and enjoy myself to lower my anxiety level. That's all I need to do. And I mean, in Burbank here, if anybody knows Burbank, you go right down Chandler Avenue and they've got a little bicycle path and all the women are out there with their strollers and their little kids. It's a perfectly safe place to be. So why not do that for any period of time? You don't have to go 5 miles every single day, or 20 minutes every single day. Just go every day.
Take a step.
Just get out. Your whole program will change. If I want to wear this myself. Now I want to say my whole life is changing now because I'm just going out. I don't have to assign anything. I don't have to pack up a whole bunch of gear like I'm going on a rucksack hike somewhere, you know, and I have to be all ready to go. And, oh, you know, if I forget something, I'm screwed, you know. No, it's okay. I just need to go out.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're combating that anxiety that is coming sitting in front of the TV. You know, a year and a half, we've been sitting in front of the TV with the remote, clicking from news channel to news channel.
You're right.
Listening to everybody's report. So now, do I really want to go outside? So those are things that we are looking at as peers. How are we supporting our veterans? So I said that again, because of what your previous guest said, because of the things that he's been doing and the ability to put this information out for the veterans. Yeah. Yes, you should be able to go into any VA and find a social worker or find a peer for that matter, because every veteran has access to peers. It's just,
so where do you think we ought to find social workers? I just want to put that out there because everybody's always saying, is there a social worker's office? No, those suckers are hidden in every clinic and all over the hospital. You just got to ask, right?
Yes, you just got to ask for one. You talk to your primary care and you let your primary care know, I would like to see a social worker. Yes, and please. Even the same with the peer support, because the beauty of peer specialists is we've been there. Yes. It's easier to talk to someone who's dealing with that anxiety and how did you overcome it? Well, this is what I did. And it took me 6 months to do it, because sometimes when we go, and this is me speaking, when I go to a clinician, and I'm trying to work into something, after a week, I'm supposed to have succeeded. But I feel defeated because I can't do it after a week. So it might take me 6 weeks. It might take me 6 months. So as the clinician is telling me this, I'm feeling defeated. But as a peer specialist telling me this, okay, it took you 6 months. All right. So I'm in good company. I can take the baby steps and not be ashamed or embarrassed because it's taking me longer.
That's right.
The value and the beauty of having a peer specialist. So you can go to your primary care, you can go to the clinic, you can ask for the services of a social worker or a peer specialist. And that's where the advocacy comes from, because that is one of the benefits of a veteran. You get the use of, you get the services from one of those type of providers. And again, that peer specialist is especially good because of the fact that they've been there.
I'm thinking it's important for us to be involved in our medical care and ask the doctors what labs we need to take.
Yes.
Rather than them just saying, okay, it's time for you to be NPO, without any food and, and your schedule's all funky. Why not be active in that kind of stuff? I have, and it's worked out much better for me to get stuff done.
It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful experience because you walk away knowing what's going on with you. That's that patient-centered care. So you come to the table with knowledge and information.
Yes.
It goes back to those concepts of recovery. Whatever's going on with you, you coming to the table with that education. You've taken that personal responsibility to say, let me look and see what I need next.
That's right.
Then sometimes you have to remind the doctor when they're putting in your labs. If you're having to get blood drawn for one thing, it's like, well, it's time for me to have something else done. So can I get that done at the same time? Because then we get upset because once we get that lab done and we get a call about the results, oh yeah, by the way, you need to do this. So now we got to get up and go back again.
That's right.
So when you take part in your own care, when you write down the things that you've done, when you're looking at, okay, well, 2 years ago, I took blood. I gave labs. That's been too long. I want to do it every year. I want to do it every 6 months because of what's going on.
That's
Asking questions.
Yes.
And that makes you a part of this whole project called patient-centered care. You are the center. You are the center of your care. And so when we talk about whole health, because that's where the VA is running, is the direction we're going into, whole health. That's taking care of all of you, the various dimensions, not only the medical portion, but your mental health, not only the physical portion, but your mental health, then your spiritual health, then your housing. How are you relating to other people? Your spirituality, all of those are components of your whole health because it's your whole. But if one thing is not right, then the rest of it is not going to be right. When we were in the military, we made sure that we had dry socks.
Yes.
Because when our feet were not right, we couldn't focus to shoot anything.
No, that's true. You're right.
So even though the feet at the bottom of you and your eyes are up here, you standing on blisters and you could not focus. So if one part of you is not right, then the rest of you is not right. That's the whole thing with the whole health. So as you're moving forward as we as veterans are moving forward into the concept of patient-centered care, when we are looking at our whole health, we advocate for something that is not being taken care of. If the provider is not the provider that does this piece that's missing, then I'm asking, I'm having this problem here. Who can I talk to about this? Can you give me a referral? Can you give me a consult? Because this piece needs to be done as well. Because I want to be totally healthy. I don't want to be halfway. I want to be healthy all the way around.
That's right. That absolutely. I so agree with you. Hey, Kathy, let's run through a couple of these. We still have some time, but I just want to ask you what you happen to know about some of these various programs. Now Ben was talking about the eQuest or equestrian program that he was involved in. And did you happen to know that there's one in Sylmar for like you and me could go horseback riding together?
Yes, someone told me about that one. And then there's also one down south in, I want to say Idlewild. There's one down south as well.
Oh, Idlewild at Spirit Mountain, there's one. That's what you're saying.
Was that the one?
I know. Yeah, there's one there too. I hadn't thought about that, but yes, they have one.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's one in Sylmar. There's the one that Ben mentioned. That's cool. And then there's eQuest. And eQuest is one, I think, that's based in Texas. And, and then we have a program that I didn't know about till I started. There's 22 Kill. And that is a suicide prevention group. And 22 stands for 22 people daily that are committing suicide. That's where the 22 comes from. And that group. And then there's one called Camp Shield, and that's out of Houston, Texas. And I know we have a couple of people in Texas that watch, so I just wanted to throw some of those out there. Now, that's a defense school for women.
Okay.
Camp Shield. And there's like 1.8 million. Correct me when if I say something wrong and you know a better stat, but I think there's like 1.8 million women veterans in the United States right now. So it isn't a small group. You know, it's a small percentage of the military, 14 to 17% or something. I think
it's 17. Yeah.
Yeah. People keep telling me difference of it, but I'm going with yours. It's because it's growing. You know, it's the fastest growing. And the other changes, you know? So then we've got U.S. vets. I always want to give them a shout out because, you know, Rocio Pomero has that Transitional Tuesday thing going on. And that's for people who are transitioning out of active duty military into veteran life. And that is a big deal. And tell me a little bit about what you do with transitioning veterans.
Well, when
peer support person.
So when I meet someone when I get a call from someone that is transitioning, if they're in need of housing, I put them in touch with the Welcome Center or whatever the process is, wherever they are in the process to get them housed if they need housing. And then whatever other needs they need, basically having a conversation with them to find out what is your next step.
Right.
If they're housed and everything is good with their housing, do they need employment? Do they need their benefits started? What else is needed? Do you just need somebody to sit and have a cup of coffee with? You know, those kinds of things are what we as peers do, because it's so. Another part is sometimes people don't know what they need.
Right.
Because this world of veterans benefits is so whatever that word is, that's what it is. And what happens is,
it's complicated. It's complicated and complex. And if you don't have somebody to help you out with, you know, that process, like a VSO for crying out loud, you know, we're supposed to be on top of that. And I try to be. That's why I'm doing this right now, trying to make sure people have a link so they can go read about it and be active about their own needs.
Yeah.
You know, that there are things available. So,
yes. And just having a conversation helps them to see what they need. Because as veterans, we make it happen. So you say, do you need anything? No, I'm good. But you're not good, because we're not going to say, you know what, I don't have this, I need that. And especially if somebody says no to you or says you're not eligible for it, you're done. You don't ask anymore. So the self-advocating, being able to talk to someone and see, well, what do I need? What can I get? What's going on? And it just starts with a simple question of, how are you? And they say, I'm fine. And my next statement is, okay, how are you really?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, how are you really? I know you're fine. I know you're feeling good, but how did you sleep? What did you eat for breakfast? What are you doing when you leave from here? Just asking those kind of questions. That helps to find out the other needs that are there that someone may not know how to verbalize.
Interesting. Yeah. I recently, just between you and I, we don't need to let anybody else know about this. No, I recently took a week, and it's all on customer service, you know, and how you talk to people, and how do you get a veteran to listen when you're telling them all this. You know how somebody goes to a doctor and they go, blah, 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 you've got cancer, you need to take these pills, you're going to have surgery. And all of a sudden you shut off and you can't even remember what they said. I always have to take somebody along with me so that they can hear, write it down, or I ask the doctor for some kind of instructions. And I go to the doctor with questions written down, because when
Yes.
I get in there, they start doing your blood pressure and sticking things in your mouth and in your ears and wherever. And, it's like, what was I going to say?
Yes.
So preparation for medical appointments is really important. And as a VSO, I want to advocate for that big time, because if you don't go in with a plan to get the doctor to check you out with things that you need for your claim, you're wasting your time.
Yes.
You need to do that. And that's the biggest tip I can, bring up as far as going to medical appointments. And again, like we said, being active about going and getting your labs in advance, proactive, so that you can then go to release of information, right? And get your records so that you can take it to the VSO or put it in with whatever you're filing, so that you can get the result and meet the expectations that you have about how you should be able to be, whatever service connected percentage you think you should be.
Yes.
I mean, but it's the veteran's job to be involved with their claim, with their medical care, and all of this stuff. And there's people like you and me who want to talk to them about it. So, so we got 5 minutes. Let's think of what it is that we need to tell veterans during the end of this. What is the best thing? What can we, to look for a social worker, to look for a peer support person, to look for a veteran service officer. These are all people that have information. And also, I want to say this, Kathy, I'd say talk to other veterans. That's true, but veteran rumor in the hospital can be wrong. I mean, seriously wrong. So you want to make sure that when you hear something from a veteran, who are they? How do they know? Are they a peer support person, or are they somebody just talking crap in the cafeteria? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I encourage veterans to get a journal, get a book, the composition books, or some type of notebook that they can carry around with them all the time. Because when you think of things, you need to write them down.
Right.
When the doctor says, how long have you been having this ache in your knee? I don't know. I just had it. But if you're writing it down, if you know that that's a question that's going to be asked, when you feel your knee feeling bad, well, I have it in the mornings, you're writing that down. Because once again, when we go to the doctor, that anxiety is already there.
Yeah.
The anxiety is there. So what's your name? And it's really hard. So
I don't know what my name is.
Yes. If you've written it down and you take somebody with you, those are the two main things, the two most important things.
Right.
Because I'm not going as a peer, I'm not going to your appointment to speak for you.
Right.
But I'm going to listen for you and listen with you and make sure that you understand. And I may ask questions. Does this make sense to you? And if it doesn't, you have the right to say, doctor, I don't understand what you just said.
Or go to the perk and look it up, because they will look up. I've said that before on this show, but I want to make sure that perk, patient
Education Resource Center.
Yeah, center. That's what it is. Jeez, these letters. See what I mean right there? I mean, you get any kind of little pressure just trying to remember something. It's like, what the heck? But you go in there, tell them what your diagnosis is and whatever, and they will give you as many pages as you want to read on the subject. So that's available too. If you don't like talking to people, you can read about it.
All that is that personal responsibility and education.
That's right.
You can advocate for yourself.
That's right.
And then carrying that support with you.
Well, Kathy, I just love spending time with you. I don't care what it is that we're doing. I just think you're a terrific individual, and I appreciate you coming on the show today. I really, really do. And also to my other guest, Ben, Lieutenant Colonel retired Ben Dennis, airborne. Oh, yes, he is. And, I really appreciate this. And I just want to say before we go that we are going to take a little summer break for about 3 weeks. We'll be back like June 11th with a new show. But the deal there's a whole bunch of recorded shows on the Voice of the Veteran about firsthand veteran experience, and you can watch those anytime. So you'll have plenty of stuff to look at, Well, I'm up at Spirit Mountain getting to visit these people for the very first time. I've known them for a year, and we've been on Zoom together. I have friends coming out from Florida and Colorado and from Sage, California, and all kinds of places. And I get to go up and actually meet them face to face and exchange germs with them. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. And, when I come back, I'll try to, report to you about what a great experience that was up there. So for the Voice of the Veteran, this is Gayle Ocheltree, your host, along with Kathy Cash and Ben and MC Franklin. And we will see you in a few weeks. Thank you for watching.